Hey there, everybody. The purpose of this video is to get you some solutions to the quiz for the exponential review. So I got our TI sitting here waiting for us if we need it. Most of this we can do manually or mentally, I guess. But, just in case you want the TI handy, she's right there waiting for us. So this first one, 2 to the 0 power, we had a nice discussion in class on Monday and then again on Wednesday on what that's going to be. Anything to the 0 power except 0 itself is going to be 1. So there you go right there. That's going to be 1. Actually, I need to change it to red. You can always use your TI to do things like this. 2 to the 0 power, enter, boom. So another way of looking at it. 16 to the 1/2 power, you may or may not have learned this in your previous classes. The half power is the same as a square root. That will be 4. You can double check it over here, 16 to the 1/2 power. It depends, again, on who you had for Math 95 and who you had for Math 65. It's one of those things I always did, but who knows if everybody else did it. So anyway, the half power is a square root, so that's that. 8 squared, right there is the opposite of the square root, the squaring function, the inverse, I should say. And we know that 8 squared is 8 times 8, so that bad boy is going to be 64. You can double check that over here if you want to. Negative 3 to the 4th. This one might have thrown you for a loop. You got to remember what exponents mean. That literally means, let's see if I can do a little clever editing here. That actually means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. So if you just follow this down in line, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, times negative 3 is negative 27, times negative 3 is positive 81. And if you're carefully using your calculator, you would have used the parentheses button, and you would have gotten the exact same result. So there's that. This is probably the trickiest one. I'm guessing that you guys may have gone straight to your machines for this one. 32 to the 0.2 power, that's the 2/10 power. Remember how up here the 16 to the 1/2 power was the square root of 16? 32 to the 1/5 power is the 5th root of 32. I hope I just said that right. 32 to the 1/5 power is the 5th root of 32. So you have to ask yourself, what number times itself 5 times equals 32? Now, I picked a nice one to make it be equal to 2. So if you do 32 to the 0.2, you end up with your number of 2 right there. And again, this question was kind of, did you see fractional exponents in your previous classes? If not, you might not have done this quiz. But even if not, you could have used your TI to do that. Use the function y equals 3 times 1.02 to the x to evaluate each. So this is fun. This is 3 somethings invested into some account that grows at 2% interest per, say, year. Okay, and that's the context after last week. So the hint I gave some folks was just to enter this as a function, just like we've been doing in class with the quadratics and other things like that, except the variable is now up there. And then as far as solving y when x equals 3, this is the perfect time to use your table. So when x equals 3, y is 3.1836. I called that 3.2, I guess, to the nearest 10th. So that bad boy right there is 3.2 if you round to the nearest 10th right there. Here's where it gets more interesting. Find x when y equals 4. So I'm telling you this is 4 here. So what's x if that's the case? There's a couple ways you can do this. There are a couple ways. One is to use something called a logarithm. I didn't expect anybody to do that. What I expected you to do was to use something like you would have done in Math 95, and we did 1 or 2 times here, which was graph y equals 4 in y2, and then get a decent window to see these intersections. So this thing starts at 3 and goes up, and this starts at 4 and stays at 4. So I'm going to change my window from 0. Let's see if 0 to 10 will do it. And then the y, we might as well start at 0 and go to 5, because we only need 4. This is going to graph really quickly. I apologize. Nope, not far enough. It's got to go out further than 8. There's your y equal. Let me trace here. There's your 3 times 1.02 to the x. He's right there, and you can see he's screeching. He's scooching up to 4. 3.4, 3.5. He's not quite there yet. Let's bump that window out to 20 or 21. Sure, why not? There they are, right there. There's your intersection. Now let's intersect that bad boy. Yes, yes, yes. Looks like it happens around 14.5. 14.5. Now you can double check that, of course. If you put in 14.5, now that's not exactly correct. It's 14.52747, blah, 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 even more decimals. But what you can do is you can, if you set up your table correctly to ask, and I know I had you do this a long time ago, so you might not remember, and you go to your table menu, you can actually input the value of X. I actually just typed X right there and then pressed enter, and then it puts the value that X is equal to, which is this obnoxious decimal. And then you'll see that when you plug that in, 14.5, out comes 4. So that's the correct exponent to use to get this whole thing to equal 4. So it would take you, if you want to put a context to it, about 14 and a half years to make $3,000 become $4,000, or to make $3 million become $4 million, or something along those lines. So, cool. There's your exponential review quiz. I hope it helped.